everybody, and welcome to Ask the Answers podcast with myself, Adele. And on today's episode, you can see we have got a lovely guy sat right next to me, not in person, but virtually. We've got the lovely David Clark joining us today. So hello, David.
Hello, Adele. How are you?
I'm very
Happy to
well,
see
thank
you.
you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, a little bit of nerves here and there, but I think that's perfectly natural.
Ah,
I'm
bless
fine.
you.
Uh,
We had a little brief chat just before we went live, and you were saying, you're fairly new to Ask the Answer and fairly new to sort of, these experiences of doing a podcast. So, how are you
mm.
finding it so far?
Well, yeah. Recently, it's a bit of learning along the way as I'm going along. But
Hmm.
the thing with me is, even if something's like brand new, um, I'm very used to routine, and I like things like done routinely. So when I was on my login page, all of that learning about all the how things work, I got into the habits of things, and I'm
Yeah.
just now things are starting to become second nature to me, which
Yeah.
is like the case with a lot of things. So yeah, overall, yeah, I'm finding it fine and ask the answer, and I'm adapting fast. So
Oh,
oh,
good, nice. Oh, glad to hear so. And whereabouts in the world are you? Where are you based?
I'm roundabout in the UK, so kind of like London, but the outer
Okay.
skirts of London. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm quite local, generally speaking, in my country.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And what's led you to coming to work for Ask the Answer? What was your what's your background? Have you got to where you are today?
well, it's funny, because I think it's 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 great. It's a strange way of describing it because it's a little bit of everything. But I think what got me onto Ask the Answer was I started to like learn about acceptance of my gift, which I think I've embraced for a little bit of a while.
Mm.
So I think I've always had it, and but it was always in subtle cues and signs. But then, knowing my nature, I'm quite charitable by nature, and
Mhm.
a lot of people I know in the world find me quite accommodating and very, approachable. And so I was thinking to
Mhm.
myself, well, I've got this gift, I've got the ability of clairvoyancy, having spirits and guides telling me all these things, and these things have helped me dealing with all my traumas and all my hurts and all my things.
Mhm.
How can I best? It was kind of like general speaking of how can I best uh, deliver that, so to speak. I would have said channel, but I think channel is a bit of an iffy word in the spiritual sense. But deliver that in a way that can help others, because I know that there are so many people that have traumas and tragedies and all these
Mm.
things that befall them. It's kind of like, well, if I can tell people what I know and what I've learned, through the spirit world, it's amazing how like quickly you can adapt,
Mm.
and the things that bothered you or seemed so um troublesome suddenly don't become a burden as much anymore, because even though they're there,
Mm.
there will always be a healing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a healing procedure at some point, because that's really how a lot of things we don't know is that the spirit world likes to heal a lot of the wounds that we have, so that they don't really affect us anymore.
Mm.
So it's kind of like, if I can find a way to sort of project that on out to people who come to me, why not? It's that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's for the greater good overall.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And
Yeah.
and can you remember yourself your early psychic experiences, or was it something that's come at a later stage in your life?
Well, it's funny because I think the thing is, I think I always had it, but it was very strange because I never, I never appreciated it when I was younger,
Hmm.
because when you're a child, you kind of like you think a psychic is it's I was kind of like, oh, it always happens to someone else, not me, kind of thing, and then it happens to you. It kind of like that, but in a more positive way, if you get what I'm saying. So it was like, I get these signs and vision. Sometimes I have the occasional vision,
Mhm.
but what I get mainly is like a feeling that a spirit or someone was kind of like around me. And then sometimes, occasionally, I would hear like whispers. Sounds a little creepy, and but when you're in it, it's actually not. It's kind of it's like this. It was kind of like the spirit world was trying to reach out to
Mhm.
me, but I had to come to my own to sort of accept it and take it in. But having said that, I grew up in a religious kind of a Christian background, so to
Mhm.
speak, and then I developed like a spirituality as opposed to a religion,
Yeah.
about how I felt. And then I would always pray every night. I would always, do try and do the right thing. And then I think it became more of a desire to learn,
Mhm.
because even before, I was always deep down very interested in the spirit world and the clairvoyancy kind of thing. And that's how I consider myself, clairvoyant. I can hear and I can feel
Yeah.
the the spirits that try to like reach out to me. And but lately now, because but then I started to finally embrace it, because I went on Ask the Answer, ironically, to a psychic who said, "You are a psychic."
Ah.
And then I was like, "No, I'm not." I was a bit like that about it. But then I was like, yeah, actually probably I am. Because then I got the tarot, then I got the things, then I started to be like, oh, actually, this is becoming like second nature. Why didn't I figure this out
Mhm.
before? So it was kind of, I was kind of getting into the gist of things. Now it's like a habitual thing. I do it every day, and I'm learning things. I'm learning new things every day, because I'm always in tune and asking questions
Yeah.
and receiving answers. And then it's those things that I can then sort of, those are tools that we gather to
Mm.
kind of like project out to people that we know and love, and we can share it with. So I think that's the later
Yeah.
outcome, but it took some time to get there. But I was kind of like had it inside me, even if I didn't.
Out,
So
out of
yeah.
interest, which was the psychic that you spoke to?
I think her name was Tamrin. Tamrin. Yeah, I think she was an American psychic. That actually, I always kind of, because I'm used to her, because I'm a creature of habit. I always kind of go to
Yeah.
her, if I needed like answers. But yeah, Tamrin was her name, and yeah, actually, I have her to thank for the fact that now I know what it's like,
Amazing.
because I never would.
Well, if you're
I've got a
listening,
clue anyway.
that's amazing. you you
Yeah.
mentioned about hearing voices, sensing a spirit around you. Did you at any point get freaked out by that, or think that you were going a little bit stir crazy, or did you know straight from the off go that that was spirit around you?
Um, well, the thing was, it was strange, because I think when I was a child, it was scary, because it was kind of like the unknown kind of thing. So I would feel, I would feel, I would feel paranoid, but I wasn't quite sure why. And then it was like, typical stuff. Um, then I think as I got older, I what I found was I did kind of pray a lot.
Mm.
So I kind of knew when I was 12. That's when I started like taking prayer seriously, to connect with God and the higher essence, all that. So I kind of knew I kind of had a feeling, whatever comes my way, um, I'm always protected, I'm always loved, I'm always there. But I think the fear kind of like fizzled out over time.
Mhm.
Also, I kind of moved. Also, I did kind of move from here to there, so I thought, whatever it is, they can't follow me if I'm somewhere else. Um, but then it's strange, because then it kind of just came back subtly. Um, because then, as I found, in my workplace, in my physical workplace, I could I could feel, um, a, I could feel like presences behind me, like kind of vibrations, sort of thing. But because it wasn't. not in my house. I was like, and I didn't think also, bear in mind, I didn't think I could like talk to the things. I was like, oh, I dare not say. But then it was when I started to get into the tarots that I realized that I can't only just feel them, I can also speak to them, and then they can also address to me what was going on. And I didn't know because I had my dryer kind of like clicked one time. That was my grandfather like trying to reach out to me. But then I was like, how's that happening? So it's kind of like supernatural eerie stuff. But then at that time I was kind of like over the fear and I was more it's the fear turned into interest more. And then I found the more I got into the tarots and the psychics and the clairvoyancy work, the more I could like it was more like a sense of empowerment because I could like take
Yeah.
control of my surroundings and how I'm feeling about certain things. So it started off as fear, but then turned to empowerment. So actually, it was quite a positive thing
Yeah.
overall, alongside learning as well about the spirit world and the
Mm.
associates of that place. Yeah.
And,
So yeah, that was.
and with, obviously you getting into the psychic world now and doing it professionally, what were you doing before this? What sort of jobs have you done, or have you done one job, or what sort of things have you done over the years?
Well, it's funny you say that because I was doing kind of like a teaching profession, and I'm still kind of studying towards that
Mm.
currently as a TA. But I'm doing my college years, trying to get that all done, which I will. But it's kind of like this is something I can do alongside because it's not just I'm kind of like I'm kind of like a jack of all trades,
Hmm.
so to speak. I'm good at tarot, but I'm good at physical things that people can appreciate as well. But it's kind of like because it's art is also another thing that I do. So my job in the workplace is art associated. Um, there's kind of like a mixture of all things, but then art can also be interpreted into spiritualism in its own way. So even though they might be kind of separated, it's strange because they can kind of also be connected
Yeah.
because um, spiritual work can be related to art as well.
Mm.
Like that talented Arkiana girl, she was doing like pictures, religious pictures all the time that are just mesmerizing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it
Interpreting
kind
what
of like
people
all
draw
leads
and
into each
all those
other.
things.
Yeah, yeah. And I did occasionally see a few. I did occasionally see a few split second things that could have been interpreted artistically. Like I saw this field of flowers and I thought, oh, that must be heaven because it was such the colors. You don't understand the colors of heaven are so vast and vivid. And even though I saw it for a split second, it's like one of those things that you can't really forget
Mm.
because it's there and it's like beyond your imagination. So it's kind of like I feel like it all kind of interweaves in a strange way,
Yeah. And it's
if you
all
see
very
what I mean.
creative, isn't it? Being creative, being open,
Yeah.
a lot of that creativity, that art is about being open and exploring and, you know, yeah,
Mm.
using that intuition and developing that can really work. Some people say that they channel through their art from spirits when they do the spirit drawings and things like that. So it's definitely something that's linked.
That's true. And also, um, oh, I was gonna make a point. I can't quite remember what it is. Oh, something about. Oh yeah, yeah, I remember. It's about how art and spiritualism they can kind of work because what they both have in common is that they're not to be taken literally, which is kind of the thing that we do
Mm.
in this life. Is we take when we read something like when we read the Bible or we read something, we always take that concept literally and we think, oh, it means this, but actually there might be a hidden agenda behind it. And I think so to have um, a clairvoyancy ability and to fully understand and embrace what you're being told and what you're hearing. You kind of need to have some kind of artistic-ish kind of interpretation, because it helps you think outside the box more by thinking more creatively
Mm.
about about whatever whatever it is that you're hearing about. So I find that I found a way to kind of harmonize the two aspects um, together well.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's that.
Because it does, it switches you off from your, you know, it's a healing thing in itself, isn't it? When, you know, you don't have to be the best artist, but even just when you do, you know, a bit of colouring or a bit of drawing, it just switches you off from the outside world and all that sort of clutter that goes on, and it just makes you just relax. And with that, I can imagine it can let that psychic ability really flow through, whether you're psychic or not. You know, just being able to switch off and heal, do that sort of healing side of things through the art. You know, it's something that is, well, it's known for helping people in those ways, and a lot of healing and for mental health issues and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And also, both can kind of have like a therapy element to it,
Mm.
because what I find is when I go into my tarots and my um, learning about all these things, you do kind of switch off from the world a little bit, but then
Yeah.
you can gain an understanding of how the spirit world is connected with the physical world, and then you can go back into the physical world and kind of like relay that, which is
Mm.
kind of like what I do with on Ask the Answer. Whenever I can, I try to like say to people, spiritual healing is always the best, and it's true, because that kind of does soothe you, and then like I said, you can also relate your artistic temperaments
Yeah.
into the into the art and psychic world as well.
Yeah. And for you, have you done things like, have you done either been involved or have you taken part in things like workshops, or, you know, been involved with spiritual churches? Have you done paranormal investigations, gone to haunted houses? Have you done any of that sort of side of things?
For now, I think I'm not new. I'm not new clairvoyancy, but I'm kind of new. It's strange. I'm new and I'm not, if you get what I mean. Like, I haven't put my. I think what I've done basically is I haven't gone to public arenas and said, "Here I am, I'm a psychic."
Yeah.
Although that is an idea to consider. But what I've done is I've gone to friends and family, and then like
Mm.
this friend that I know who works with me in the room that I'm in, and she's always asking me questions, and she always wants to know these tarot readings, and I'm like, oh, and it's very simple stuff, but important in life experiences, like whatever problems she might be having. And then I might say, oh, there's this is how God operates to kind of like heal your soul if you've got this sort of problem. So she's quite in tune, and then she always tries to see, oh, can I speak to my grandma, or like my grandpa who's on the other side, and then I hear what they say, and said, oh yeah, they said to hold on, hang in there. What we don't understand also is that we have loving we have a very loving divine nature around us. Like, people of the heavenly realm are very accommodating, and they're very ordinary. We get this thing of, oh, a ghost is there. It's like, oh, it's weird. But actually, if they're benevolent, you don't really have a problem there, because it's just like talking, it's like talking to a regular person, and they actually can be quite nice and quite helpful. Um, they help me a lot, because
Mm.
I'm very approachable, but I kind of draw a lot of positive energy, because I kind of exude that energy as well, and sort of relay it out there. So when spirits or people kind of need my help, I'm very approachable and easy
Mm.
to put out there. So yeah, that's that's more or less the gist of how I've gone
Yeah.
about it so
And
far.
And have you found you've had a trend of a type of people that come to you? You know, sometimes people are drawn to people because they've been through similar experiences. Like some people will get lots of love triangles, or people get lots of people about their careers. Some people it might be about them becoming a psychic. Have you had it quite varied so far, or has there been a trend that you've seen that more people have come to you for some reason?
Well, it's funny because I'm getting people who normally come for like love advice and relationship advice, sometimes about jobs. Sometimes people come to me and say to me, I think once or twice I had someone say to me, I'm in love with this woman. Like, does she feel this way? And it's kind of like, oh, even though I may not have been through everything they've been through, I can kind of understand their emotions because I'm
Mhm.
very emotionally in tune. So when someone says, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling so distraught over this man that I've lost, I'm kind of like, yeah, I feel you because I felt that way one time about
Mm.
this person that I met in the workplace, which I did. I felt like I was head over heels in love with this person, but they were unavailable. And then I was like, I wasn't saying so simple things like that, even though it might sound trivial, it's kind of like I
Yeah.
so can relate to what you're saying, and then it's like yeah, and then through that I kind of like try to use my spiritual experiences to kind of sort of help heal them emotionally,
Mm.
even if they're not aware. Tell them sometimes it's good news, but oftentimes it can be good news that, oh yeah, the person actually does like you and this sounds positive. But then there's also the sense of if if not, it seems like it now, but it's not really the end of the world. And
Mhm.
you will always because there was this woman who she had it was kind of a love triangle-ish, but it was to do with someone. One was available, one wasn't. I won't get into too many details, but I was kind of like, even if you're not going to be with all of them now, because obviously we can't do that, there's kind of a like a togetherness. So everything we go through in our life, kind of like it comes full circle. And then it's kind of like, even if things don't work out here, there's always a sense of unity that we can experience in the afterlife. So through that kind of non-literal kind of spiritual sense, it gets resolved in a higher realm,
Mm.
a higher development realm. That's kind of what I try to tell her to put her mind at ease a little bit
Yeah.
because I think deep down she was missing the person in question. And
Hmm.
I want to say it's not over. It's more like that. I like to say this. I love saying this. There's always tomorrow, no matter how bad things may seem today. That's kind of like a bottom line. Just and it's amazing how knowing that you
Mm.
can just be healed knowing those words because then you also learn how that is the case. God always gives us a second chance at things that we may have, you know, done a blooper over, or maybe you thought, oh, well, I could have done that better. It
Mm.
kind of like it will kind of be resolved in mysterious spiritual ways that are really
Yeah.
that can be quite impactful. So yeah, that's everything in that.
So when people come through and have a reading with you, what's the initial thing that you say? What happens? What do they need to be aware of? Do they need to do or bring anything to the phone lines? How does it work?
Well, I kind of they normally like introduce themselves, say what their predicaments is. Oftentimes it's about relationships. Other times it can be work related issues. It really, I kind of feel like it depends what they're going through in their lives. Um, like for example, for many, it is to do with love and relationships, and just wanting to know if this person feels if they have a fighting chance against with that person. Sometimes it could be about a job or anything because I think a lot of the things that we it's a lot of the things that we spend our daily lives working around because they're part of human nature. Everyone has relationships. Everyone wants to be in a relationship even though they're not in one. Um, and everyone wants stability in life as
Mm.
well, which is why I think um, another thing people come to ask about, not as much, but occasionally, is whether they'll get this dream job that they've so desired. Because I know I can relate to that as well. I've wanted this job for not that obviously I want the clairvoyance, but the job at my workplace for
Mm.
many years, and it's kind of like I'm working towards that, obviously. But it's kind of like someone in that similar predicament would say, "Will I get this job?" When also they ask for specifics of when they will get it and what they should do, kind of thing. And then I always, because because I hear the things, I always kind of like hear the best answer to say in the way that even if it's not great news, how can it best be relayed in a way that can be healing in itself? And I think sort of that's a sort of thing is sort of helping the helping the people see the bigger picture that the
Mm.
spirit world has to offer. Because even though we spend a lot of time living in the moment, but there is so much to learn
Mm.
about the spirit or beyond this life that even I'm taken away of all the new things that I'm
Yeah.
learning. Um, yeah,
That's it. There is so much to
so
learn. There's so
yeah,
many different avenues to go down, and it's. I mean, I've worked with the psychic world for many years and sort of dipped in and dipped out. And I always find it very fascinating. I find it very hard to find any sort of negative in it because it's all very empowering. It's all very uplifting. It's giving you knowledge. It gives you power. It gives you more control in your lives. There's not much that I would say is really a hindrance or a bad thing because even if it's something that's not good coming up for you, if you're aware of it, you know how better to handle that situation or how to overcome it or how to maybe avoid it and make a different outcome. It's a very positive thing having a reading. And I think for some people that might be a bit skeptical or a bit unsure until you've actually experienced it, it is such an amazing thing to experience with so many different,
I
yeah,
know.
who work
Yeah,
in so many different ways. There's so much you can find out.
yeah, it's true. And I found that I think that the trick of the spirit world as well is if you've got a positive, because oftentimes like psychics and clairvoyants, they should have a positive uh, view on life and a positive energy that's within their soul and in their inner core. You kind of like just naturally give that out
Mm,
to people, and even the spirits I speak to, which I've had a few. But it's kind of like if you kind of like it's kind of like you pour out and then you also take in. So it's kind of like that toing and
yeah,
throwing of positive energy, giving out positive energy, and then in giving positive energy, you feel better when you also receive it, and then it makes you more willing to like give it out. So it's kind of like a toing and throwing, but in a way that's
mm,
uplifting and actually betters your well-being. And it's amazing. Actually be in a you can actually be in a heavenly state of being just by doing that
yeah,
alone and being connected with that um with that in itself, because you generally feel a lot more uplifted, and then actually you're very eager to
yeah,
sort of share to people like I know this and I need to I need to tell you. I find it's very much like
yeah.
that. I find
Definitely.
you know
You mentioned your
Mhm.
experience of liking somebody or fancy somebody at work that was unavailable. What other experiences have you had in your life that makes you relatable to people when they come through?
um well it's a tricky one, that. But I find it's just being a good person in general, and it's just the basic because we're all
Mm,
human at the end of the day, so we all have the same well, kind of the same basic wants and needs. We're not all identical. We all have our individual
mm,
strengths, and um, it's important to sort of embrace that and have self-belief as
mm,
well. That's what I feel. Um, you can be. I find I'm just relatable in everyday life, being human, having we all have our personal life. I have my personal life, um, and then I interact with people who also have their personal lives as well. And so yeah, I find it's because we kind of just we have this thing that psychics are like detached from
Mm.
reality. I don't know if that's the case, but actually we are just we're just ordinary we're ordinary people on in the thing with a gift that we have to embrace and we have to like follow through. Um in those ways,
Yeah.
Adele,
You said you're sort of a creature of
I can
habit. You
I
like your
can
own
relate.
routine. Have you gone traveling, in your past years, or have you been more settled in one area?
Well, I kind of I have been to I haven't left I haven't left the country,
Yeah.
so to speak, for quite a few years. I have gone occasionally here and there, like I was going to say Paris, but I think that was 20 years ago. I don't know if that's significant. That is a nice one. But kind of I did go to Croatia for a cousin's wedding at one time. So there was that. Um I do dabble here and there. Mainly I go about places
UK.
in
Yeah.
England, in
Yeah.
London. London is like my core
Yeah.
area. And I always used to go a lot to the Oxford
Mm.
Street, that kind of thing. But what I kind of liked about Oxford Street, even though it's got a historical element to it, and I kind of drawn to that in a subconscious level, like they romanticize the historical
Mm.
aspects of things. And oh, I did also go to an art gallery a few months
Yeah.
back. I think it was the National Portrait Gallery or somewhere like that. Yeah. And then I just saw all these historically. Tower of London was also another
Oh,
one
yes. I
I
keep
went
meaning
to
to
as
go
well. So
there.
it was all
They
those
keep
things.
asking because they're learning about it in school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Though I would say be careful if you are a psychic or clairvoyant. Just be careful in these places because to bring you don't want to accidentally bring an entity that
Yeah.
might have had a path. And places like Tower of London, like I got this especially because I got this feeling. Again, the feeling came back, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's someone from like 500 years ago." I don't normally go that
Yeah.
far back because of how people were. I was like, is someone trying to reach out to me? So kind of my clairvoyancy questions were coming in, but turns out I was being
Mm.
protected because I came straight home to my car. I was like, was someone trying to reach out to me in the Tower of London that needed help or whatever? And then it was like, yeah, you shouldn't do that because that wasn't. You've got to be careful as to who you're
Yeah.
talking to because you don't want to accidentally bring something over. But then that's why I always have my spiritual cleansing and always like keep your intentions set and set your space, keep it clean
Mm.
and familiar faces, close that
Fascinating, though, the historic
close.
places where you can be picking up energies like that still.
Yeah. It was a curiosity that sparked in, but I didn't want to jinx it too
Yeah.
much because I didn't find because humanity has changed a lot since then
Hmm.
and we can't and some of the beliefs that they may have had may not correlate to ours, and unfortunately just like how in our world there's good and bad, the same kind of applies to the spirit world. And if you're not careful you can accidentally fall victim, yeah, prey to those
Yeah.
things. But then again, that's why I do the
Yeah. I love that.
cleansing, knowing who I'm talking to, checking all of those things. I'm just very thorough.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's like have you ever, I don't know if you've ever, well, you've heard of it, I'm sure, Alcatraz, like in San Francisco, like the prison and stuff like that, where you have to go on a boat to get to that island where the prison is, and then they put like headphones on you and they go through like how it was like back in the day. And places like that, they really do fascinate me, because you're always trying to picture yourself, well, what would it be like back in the day? But for a psychic that can walk in and actually experience either hearing things or sensing things or getting flashbacks or visions of those things is, it must be, well, just fascinating.
It is, yeah, it's very fascinating. I've never been to an actual prison like that myself, but I did always, I always wondered, like, what was it like? And
Yeah.
I think that's part of being a photographer. You kind of like always like to ask yourself the questions: what was it like to be in those positions? How did those people feel? What brought
Yeah.
them to those places? Because we don't just, it's not like we just show up as we are, kind of thing. We always become, because of experiences that we have, and the journey our soul takes always leads us to the outcome of the person
Mm.
that you end up being. And it's the same thing with soul journey. We have a we kind of we our soul takes a journey from, to get from A to B. You need to have certain experiences to become the best version of your soul that you can get, which a lot of us don't know is the main point of the life that we live. We get so bogged down with the everyday stuff, will I get this job? Will I win this person? But it's also primarily about, will I experience will I experience the things I need to experience in order to learn the lessons I need to learn to become the best version of
Hmm.
myself. And those prisoners, those people, they would have been no different themselves. And actually, a lot of those, at the end of the day, we always seem to associate prisoners as like bad
Mm.
people. Like we see someone in a mugshot and we think, oh, they must have done something terrible. But at the end of the day, you have to learn, even though some of the things they may have done weren't perfect, they're still people. And it's also important to know that laws change as well. So not everyone you see behind bars is
Oh
automatically
no,
bad.
some have been even wrongly
Some
accused,
things,
or some people just made a silly wrong decision. It can be really
yeah,
sad, some of the things that happen.
it is, and I also often find as well in a lot of the cases, some of the justice, sometimes the justice system at the time wasn't
Mm.
exactly perfect. Laws change. Sometimes the laws were too harsh or too critical on things like petty theft, for
Mm.
example, is a very typical thing that a lot of people had during the Victorian era. And actually, um, unbeknownst, I kind of knew someone, because I'm talking going into past lives now, I kind of knew someone who was a, I don't know if they were a petty thief, but they were kind of convicted for something they didn't do because it had something to do with a romance or something, but it was to do with class division. Um, this person I knew in Ireland in my past life, they came. I then reunited with that. The soul of there was someone else, obviously, because that person's not alive anymore. But it was the soul. The soul was within this person who was my classmate, and it was like, you know, we had a soul. It turns out we had a soul
Mm.
contract, so we are going to be kind of crossing paths with each other in several stages. And then I learned that, and actually that person in that past life when they were arrested, as we know, they were falsely accused. They weren't all that bad. They were actually quite friendly. And as it turns out, I'm going to learn that in a future life, we're going to get married. So it's
Uh,
that kind of soul journey that our souls take, that kind of we learn along the way through the experiences that we
yeah.
have, regardless of what shape or form they may take. And I'm always asking questions like that about
Yes.
what
Amazing.
we are,
Yeah.
because it's important to know.
Yeah. Absolutely, how it's
Yeah,
impacting your everyday life, and yeah, the lessons you need to learn Fascinating. So, how often are you going to be on the phone lines for people if they want to come through and speak to you about anything that we've been bringing up today on the show?
Well, today I'm normally on from 6 till
Hmm.
midnight. That's my typical hours. Occasionally, I'll put an extra hour in. I think I'm doing that
Yeah,
tonight, putting an extra hour in if there's any shift in like my daily plans afterwards. But I typically work in the evening hours.
perfect.
That's the best time to call for me because yeah, I find that that time is like um the essence of the spirit world is the most
Hmm.
alive, if you
Yeah,
see what I mean, at that time. So I find the connections can be strengthened in that regards.
perfect. Well,
So
do you know
yeah,
what? It's been so lovely getting to know you, David. I'm sure I'll get to know you more in depth as the months go on and hear all about the feedback from all our lovely listeners.
yeah.
If we want to come through to you, I'm just going to say your PIN number is 700656.
Yes, that's it.
Amazing.
Correct.
And well, good luck with everything, all your other work that it's got going on, and good luck with all those phone readings. And I look forward to hearing what's next
Yeah,
and what else pops up on your psychic journey. But for now, thank you so much for joining us
yeah.
today, and look forward to speaking to you again.
Look forward to seeing you too. Bye
Take
for now.
care. Bye,
Bye.
David.
Bye. Bye.